Blood trickled down my cheek as the broken glass bit deeper into my skin. I didn't flinch. I smiled. Not because I was unheard, but because he was. For now, you just lost everything, I told him. Dad stood there, chest heaving, rage boiling over his carefully polished image. My back still stung from the push through the glass door of his private office. The office I designed, the one with my sister's initials etched discreetly into the corner of every blueprint. He never noticed. He never looked past himself. I got up slowly. I didn't need to say another word. I knew the words I'd released that night would do far more damage than any fist ever could. He used to call me his legacy. That was before he realized I had a mind of my own. Before he understood that I could see the cracks in his empire. Before he buried my sister and built his fortune over her grave. Sophie died quietly. They called it an accident, an overdose, but she was clean. I know because I paid for her rehab in secret when Dad refused. Said she was damaged goods, said we needed to cut her loose before the press found out. She was 17. I was 22, old enough to be his right hand, naive enough to think I still wanted to be. He kept me close after Shettied, groomed me like an heir. I wore his suits, signed his contracts, smiled for the cameras, but I never forgot Sophie's last voicemail. He promised he'd fund my clinic, but he won't. He said it's not good for the brand. You were right about him. I was just too stupid to see it. She never called again. It started with a whisper, a message from one of the board assistants. You should see the minutes from last Thursday's meeting, the ones you weren't invited to. I wasn't just being left out. I was being erased, my equity reallocated, my roles reassigned, all while he paraded me on the press circuit like his golden child. The man who once said I'd carry the torch was burying me in shadows. Same way he did to Sophie, only quieter. That's when Is stopped being his son and started being his ghost. I didn't scream, didn't threaten. I studied. I mapped the shell companies, followed the backdoor deals, traced every wire transfer to every private holding he'd quietly absorbed in Sophie's name after her death. She had owned 22% of the company, not in paper, real shares. Grandma's inheritance signed to her the week before she died. Dad never mentioned it, never mourned it. He absorbed it quietly, illegally. I hired the best forensic accountant in Singapore. I let the SEC eat breadcrumbs while I baked the whole damn cake. And the cherry on top, the recording, the own where he said, if the girl dies, we absorb the equity. It's airtight. His voice, his words, dated 3 days before she overdosed. Tonight was the gala. The entire industry in one room. Awards, speeches, flashbulbs, champagne. I waited until his award was in hand. Waited until the crowd was cheering. Waited until he said the words, I couldn't have done this without my son. Then I walked on stage, calm, clean suit, bandaged hand. I didn't raise my voice. I won't be accepting this award on his behalf, I said, because he doesn't own this company. Sophie did, and he buried her to take it. The room froze. I pressed play. His voice filled the ballroom. I saw the exact second his face collapsed. Then I handed the SE Crepe in the front row my folder. I didn't even look at Dad as I walked off stage. He wasn't the point. Sophie was. It took 35 minutes. That's how long it took for the media to explode, for the board to call an emergency vote, for his assets to be frozen, his passport flagged, and the shareholders to rally behind a new name. Mine. He called me nothing. Now I'm CEO of the empire he stole. He came to my office this morning. Mine now, nothis. Didn't knock. Just stood there in the doorway, smaller than I've ever seen him. His tie was crooked. His voice. You planned this? He asked. I leaned back in the chair he used to sit in. No, I said. You did. The day you chose your image over your daughter's life. His jaw clenched. You think this makes you better than me? No, I said, just smarter. He started to speak, but I cut him off. Security's on the way. If you run, it'll look worse. If you stay, you might still salvage 5%. He laughed, bitter, empty. You were always cold, he said. I stood, walked to the window. No, I said I was patient. Sophie's clinic opens next week. Fully funded. Her name above the door. I kept the voicemail. It plays in the lobby. Only the first few words, you were right. I was, and I waited. Not for revenge, for justice. because he thought pushing me through glass would break me. But it only opened the